Cost of living in Vietnam. Tear up the fairy tales. All the truth is here. So, have we arrived at the moment of truth? To the real Vietnam monthly cost of living full calculation summary on YouTube. Forget the flying, the fleeing, the exaggerating, those painting a pink picture, those playing Pollyanna, and the posts that leave many people in a difficult situation. Forget them immediately. The facts are here, clear and ruthless. For foreigners, it is indeed cheap, because those guys are already earning dollars, but for Turks, the situation is very different. This narration is without fairy tales, without filters, and without makeup. Especially if you are thinking of coming with a Turkish pension, and thinking of not compromising on comfort and hygiene, think again. Vietnam is cheap by local standards, but when the Turkish consumption basket is involved, it quickly turns into an expensive adventure. In spite of the foreigners who say, you can live like kings for $750, these tables put all your expenditure items, rent, food, health insurance, right in front of you. According to your segment, exactly how much money brings how much comfort, you will now know exactly. The calculations are clear. Either you give up olive oil and white cheese and live like a local, or this land will cost you even more than Turkey. The choice is yours. This narration covers all your monthly expenses, including rent and all costs, for big cities and coastal cities, showing minimum and maximum budget ranges, calculated with current exchange rate information, as of November 25, 2025. The reality of eating and drinking in Vietnam. Cultural palate, halal food, cleanliness, the quadrilateral of Salmonella and MSG. First of all, let me state this. I am speaking as a Turk who is very happy to live in Vietnam, and who takes incredible pleasure in being in this country. Before starting this video content, I would like to make an important reminder. The purpose of this narration is definitely not to badmouth Vietnam, or to judge its cultural values. We are sharing these food realities, which directly affect the health of tourists, in such detail and transparency, only because our topic is Vietnam. Let's not forget that the issues regarding salmonella or hygiene we mention here, unfortunately, can cause problems from time to time in many different countries where tourism activity and street food culture are intense, including Turkey. Our focus is not the country itself, it is the safety and awareness of the travelers. Now, we can move on to the eating and drinking realities in Vietnam. The reality of cultural palate and halal food. People are constantly asking us, is Vietnam cheap or expensive? But no one is talking about this. For whom is the eating and drinking order there easy, and for whom is it a nightmare? When Vietnam is mentioned, the first things that come to most Turks' minds are reasonable prices, tropical streets, seafood, and spicy dishes. But when you come to Vietnam as a Turkish and Muslim visitor, there are two main breaking points invisible in this romantic picture. Cultural palate, and the reality of halal food. The palate gap. The foods that travel bloggers call very cheap and wonderful might not taste delicious to the Turkish palate. The cheapest and most authentic street foods in Vietnam are far from the taste balance we are used to. Fish sauce, nuoc cam, is the foundation of Vietnamese cuisine and has an intense fermented smell. This smell might be repulsive for some Turkish visitors. Fresh herbs are not soft like ours, they have sharp and earthy aromas. This does not make Vietnamese cuisine bad, it is just a cultural difference, and can disappoint those who come unprepared. The reality of halal food. From the perspective of Turks and Muslims, halal gida gersegi, and let me be honest, everyone who comes unprepared for this issue hits a wall within a few days. Because Vietnam's food culture is built on a foundation that conflicts with all the rules we are accustomed to. Pork is the main protein source in a large part of the country. The kitchen layout of restaurants, the oils used, the surfaces where pans are shared. They all belong to a different world. For someone coming from Turkey, the first shock starts here. For us, halal is a multi-layered concept. But in Vietnam, none of these have an equivalent. Even most people do not even know the meaning of the word halal. The number of halal restaurants is still limited. Almost all of street foods are not halal. Even the tactic of, I will only eat seafood, is not 100% safe, because pork products can be fried in the same oil. For Turks and Muslims, the clear reality is this. Halal food can be found in Vietnam, but it is not common, and it makes choosing food in daily life difficult. The outlook for Europeans and other tourists. In this tourist group, there is no agenda called halal. Therefore, they tour Vietnamese cuisine in a state of freedom. However, they also have a blind spot. Europeans romanticize street food as authentic, cheap, and natural, but hygiene standards are far below European levels. For most of them, MSG is accepted as harmless. Even when they have stomach problems, they brush it off saying, Vietnam is like this. They romanticize even the meat waiting in the open saying, oh, how authentic. Without realizing it, they consume high doses of MSG at almost every meal. Their advantages are having an open mind and boldly trying everything. However, their biggest disadvantage is underestimating health risks, and inevitably, the group that gets poisoned the most is often these Western friends. Food safety and cleanliness, valid for everyone. 60 to 70% of street food in Vietnam is prepared in the open. The temperature is high, the humidity is high, the fly risk is high. The standard of hand washing at street stalls is almost non-existent. Food safety culture is not at Western standards. This is not bad intention, it is a habit. The real risks are, meat and seafood sometimes wait at room temperature for hours. The ice is often not from drinking water, which is a huge shock for tourists. In many places, the same cutting board is used for pork, chicken, and fish. Especially Turks and Muslims, because their expectation of cleanliness is high, it leads to more reaction and more filtering. Europeans, since they are more tolerant and have a "we'll try it" approach, they get poisoned more quickly. Salmonella risk. Just like in our country or other touristic countries, there is a salmonella risk in Vietnam too. Especially in street chickens, in egg dishes waiting at room temperature, and in overcrowded restaurants in tourist areas, because cleaning cannot keep up. Tourists generally think it is standard in tropical countries. This is true. But what is ignored is this. Vietnam's combination of heat plus humidity plus food sold in the open creates a perfect environment for salmonella. They don't name it, but most 2-day stomach upset cases are actually salmonella-like infections. In Europe, it is called traveler's diarrhea. In the last 7 to 8 months, food poisoning and salmonella cases have also increased significantly in Turkey. In Turkey, people generally mistake this situation for stomach flu. However, a large part of these cases are actually mild salmonella-type infections. If you ask how sure I am moderately sure, because not every stall is the same, but the risk is a real risk due to geography. MSG. Chinese salt, monosodium glutamate, reality. Vietnamese cuisine equals MSG culture. This is not a topic for debate, it is a direct fact. From noodle to pho, from fried rice to spring rolls, everything has MSG in it. Vietnamese people have been using MSG as a flavor enhancer for years, and they don't think it is dangerous. General opinion, it comes from natural seaweed, it is harmless. This is a big mistake. But the truth is, the doses in Vietnam are far above the doses used in Europe and the USA. Probable effects are, and most tourists experience these: headache, excessive thirst and dehydration, palpitations, bloating and stomach churning. Many people in Turkey are already sensitive to MSG. In Vietnam, this sensitivity is felt 3 times worse. The situation for Turks and Muslims. It is already hard to find halal food, therefore escaping MSG is impossible. WHO is more comfortable, most comfortable. Europeans and South Americans, no halal worries, open to trying new tastes and hygiene tolerances are flexible. However, the group with the highest stomach problems is also them. Moderately comfortable, Far Eastern tourists, Korea, Japan, used to street food, used to MSG, can make relatively safer choices. Most challenged, Turks, Arabs, and Muslims. When cultural palate plus halal plus cleanliness plus MSG, all 4 combine, making a choice becomes difficult. Finding alternative restaurants is troublesome. Latest poisoning cases and urgent warning on food safety. Now I will tell you one of the most current and serious risks in Vietnam. Food poisoning outbreaks. We are no longer talking about just small microbial problems, but large and mass cases. It was reported that over 500 people were hospitalized due to food poisoning in Vietnam in recent periods. Even just in the first 11 months of 2024, according to the Ministry of Health, 131 poisoning cases occurred. In these cases, a total of 4,796 people were infected, and unfortunately 21 people lost their lives. This situation continued without slowing down in 2025 as well. In Ho Chi Minh City, over 300 people were poisoned and hospitalized even in popular banh mi shops. Even much more serious and deadly cases, like botulism caused by improper storage methods, were reported in 2025. Strategy and recommendations: be careful when eating from crowded shops, especially high-volume banh mi producers. When choosing a restaurant and business, check if there is a food safety certificate or hygiene inspection. If there is a suspicion of food poisoning, get medical help immediately. You should not underestimate the situation as just a stomach problem. Let's answer questions and answers directly now.
Question. Can MSG be avoided?
Answer. Almost impossible. If you want to avoid it, you need to turn to Western-style restaurants. This is also a limited solution.
Question. Who struggles the most?
Answer. Turks and Muslims, because cultural palate, halal, cleanliness, and MSG. All four affect them at once.
Question. Is it possible to find halal food in Vietnam?
Answer. It exists, but it is not common. Halal restaurants are usually on tourist streets, expensive, and limited.
Question. Do Vietnamese know the concept of halal?
Answer. The vast majority do not know. Therefore, explanations need to be made clearly and repeatedly.
Question. Is street food safe for tourists?
Answer. Generally not. There is a high-risk combination for the tourist's stomach, heat plus humidity plus low hygiene.
Question. Who gets poisoned the most?
Answer. Europeans, because they approach with too much self-confidence and do not pay enough attention to hygiene.
Question. How to prevent stomach problems?
Answer. Stay away from street food in the first days. Use sealed water from the market. Avoid iced products.
Question. What are the safe ones?
Answer. In the early days, Western-style restaurants, well-known chains, halal-certified places, and fresh seafood in good restaurants. After adapting, you can start trying local flavors.
Question. What are the risky foods?
Answer. 3 chickens, noodles with eggs, meats sold in the open, and dessert ices, because the source of the water is unclear. The food in question, answer part is over for now. Next up is the reality of cost of living in Vietnam. Are you ready? We are moving on to mind-blowing facts and calculations. The exchange rate is accepted as approximately $1 equals 26,314 Vietnam dong. 1. Why is Vietnam seen as a cheap alternative? Vietnam, when compared with Western and developed countries, is significantly cheap. The main reason for this is the low local minimum wage and generally the low cost of services, energy, and labor. Vietnam, especially for those earning Turkish lira and euro or dollar, offers a huge advantage in these 3 areas. Local consumption, food, the two-faced reality, street food and local markets, are incredibly cheap. Feeding on local cuisine is much more economical than Western cuisine. Warning, however, if you cannot consume local foods due to the risks brought by cheap food, hygiene, MSG, palate, your budget strategy collapses quickly. Instead of local food, when you turn to more reliable Western-style restaurants or imported market products, your daily food expenditure suddenly increases by 3 to 5 times. This situation easily pulls your total monthly budget up by 30% to 50%. Labor and services. Everything requiring labor, such as cleaning, repair, maintenance, and motorbike courier services, is very cheap. Motorized transport. Transport by motorcycle, scooter, is much more economical compared to public transport or private vehicle usage. In summary, what determines the cost in Vietnam is, how much can you live like a local Vietnamese? As long as you live like a Vietnamese, it is a cost-effective paradise. However, in every area where you seek Western standards, imported products, luxury housing, international schools, prices rise rapidly. 2. Cost of living in big cities. Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi. Vietnam's 2 biggest metropolises, Ho Chi Minh City, briefly HCMC, and Hanoi, are the regions with the highest cost. HCMC, especially in areas where foreigners are concentrated like District 1 and District 2. 2 Duke, increases the cost even more. The average monthly cost of living in these cities, excluding rent, for a single person, is as follows. Lifestyle, economic, local, monthly expenditure, excluding rent, 400 to 600 United States dollars. Explanation, you usually shop at the local market, eat local food, and use public transport. Grab, motorbike, lifestyle. Medium comfort, expat, monthly expenditure, excluding rent, 700 to 1,200 United States dollars. Explanation, you occasionally go to Western restaurants, use coffee chains, and travel comfortably with Grab, lifestyle. Luxury, high-end, monthly expenditure, excluding rent, 1,500 United States dollars and above. Explanation, luxury restaurants, regular bar, club life, imported food shopping. 3. Cost in small cities and coastal regions. Small cities, for example Đà Lạt, Hội An, and coastal regions. Nha Trang, Mũi Né, are generally more affordable compared to big cities. However, this difference is more distinct in expenses other than rent. Expenditure difference. Food, local markets, and daily services can be 15% to 30% cheaper compared to big cities. Accommodation difference. Rent. It is easy to find affordable rents in these regions. However, modern or high-quality housing stock is more limited compared to big cities. As an example, while maintaining the same quality of life, spending $800 in a big city, this figure can drop to $600 to $700 levels in a non-touristic coastal town like Hội An. 4. Rent, housing cost. Big cities. Housing cost is the variable that affects your monthly budget in Vietnam the most. Prices separate sharply according to housing type, size, and especially the district preferred by foreigners. Rent cost options. Ho Chi Minh City example, option A. Budget, local. Housing type, region, small studio. Local regions, like Binh Thanh or District 3. Monthly rent range, $250 to $450. Explanation. Simply furnished, sometimes windowless, apartments in local buildings. Option B. Medium comfort, good apartments. Housing type, region, spacious studio or one-bedroom apartment. District 7, Binh Thanh or District 4. Monthly rent range, $500 to $800. Explanation. Modern buildings, furnished, secured, can be complexes with pool and gym. Option C. Luxury, expat region. Housing type, region, 2-bedroom serviced apartment. District 1, District 2. 2 Duke. Monthly rent range, $900 to $1,800 and above. Explanation. Fully serviced buildings, luxury residences in the city center, or apartments located in expat complexes like Mastery, Vinhomes. Important note. Renting a house in Vietnam usually requires making a contract for 6 months to 1 year, and usually 2 months deposit is requested. Water bill is usually included in the rent or very low. However, electricity bill is excluded. Warning. Electricity warning. Electricity in Vietnam, due to the tiered pricing system, and especially based on residential tariffs, is more expensive than Turkey. With the intense use of devices like air conditioners, refrigerators, and water heaters, the electricity bill of a small apartment can comfortably reach $100 to $150 levels. Do not forget to add this cost to the budget. Conclusion and next step. Warning. Tourist and resident distinction. Staying in Vietnam for a week or two as a tourist is spending $1,000 a month and living a luxurious and problem-free life. However, settling here permanently and dealing with constant visa, bureaucracy, alienation, health, and palate problems, even if you spend the same money, is a completely different and much more challenging game. The tourist is a guest, the resident is a warrior. Warning. Low budget and pension warning. Can one live in Vietnam with a Turkish pension or very low figures? Maybe, in theory yes. However, if you come here and have to compromise on local hygiene, palate, and comfort standards, the result will most likely be either frustration or disgrace. Without reducing your quality of life to zero, a reasonable budget is essential to live comfortably. Vietnam, especially for those adopting the local lifestyle, is a budget-friendly option. However, as Western comfort increases, the cost quickly approaches Turkey or Eastern Europe levels. A Turkish proverb says, "As much bread, that much meatball. You get what you pay for." As in the rest of the world, this rule applies in Vietnam too. If you are a backpacker, hostels are very cheap. If you rent a studio apartment with a small kitchen, you balance comfort and budget. No, if you say, "I live luxuriously," villas or spacious serviced apartments await you. Transportation and daily expenses. City bus tickets, taxis or motor scooter transport are quite reasonably priced. For example, one ride can be about $0.25 to $0.40 USD for a city. So, daily transportation costs are low compared to the West. This becomes a big factor when saying affordable living. Motorbike advantage and traffic reality. If you can ride a motorbike, the cost drops even more and your freedom of movement increases. Motorbike rental cost. Daily rental varies between 5 to 10 United States dollars. Monthly rental is around 50 to 120 United States dollars. Depending on the model and condition of the motorcycle. Fuel cost. Fuel is much cheaper compared to Turkey. Warning. Traffic and fine warning. Vietnam traffic has a chaotic flow, built on lawlessness. Riding a motorbike, even if you have an internationally valid license, carries a huge risk. You must be super careful, always drive defensively, and keep your distance from large vehicles. If you do not have an international license, fines issued if caught by traffic police are very expensive. Even for the most common scooters, under 175cc, official fines between 1 million Vietnam dong, 40 United States dollars, and 4 million Vietnam dong, 160 United States dollars, can be issued. These fines can increase further with bribery attempts, or your motorcycle can be confiscated. For short-term tourists, instead of taking this risk, using the cheap Grab, motorcycle taxi is much safer. Intercity transportation, sleeper bus, train, long-distance travels can be done very affordably with comfortable sleeper buses or trains. Sleeper buses, a journey of 500 to 600 kilometers, can be between 15 to 30 United States dollars. Trains, more comfortable, more reliable and slower. Train ticket prices are slightly higher than buses. Communication and internet costs. Communication costs are one of Vietnam's biggest advantages. Local SIM card. Buying and using a SIM card is very easy. Monthly bill package. Local packages containing sufficient internet, often unlimited data, per month, have very low prices like 5 to 10 United States dollars. This is incredibly cheap compared to Western and Turkey standards. Health costs. Public hospitals. Public hospitals can be very low cost, however, there are quality, waiting time, and language barrier problems. Private, international clinics. English-speaking private clinics or international hospitals are more expensive. For example, a private examination can be 20 to 50 United States dollars. Important note, for serious health problems or expected operations, a good international health insurance is mandatory.
International Health Insurance, IHS. Reality. Warning. No one tells you this. You can find many contents explaining how to get by with $500 a month in Vietnam. But no one tells you about this insurance item. And this is your guarantee of survival thousands of kilometers away. Question. Insurance. Where should I get it? In my own country? Or in Vietnam?
Answer. Insurance must definitely be obtained before going to Vietnam. Advantage. The validity date of the insurance starts the moment you enter the country, and this provides you with immediate coverage. This is the most advantageous and correct way. Disadvantage. If you attempt to get insurance after going to Vietnam, most companies apply a waiting period ranging from 1 to 3 months for existing or potential health problems. If you get sick during this period, your insurance will not cover the costs. Cost details. Private hospital cost. A simple bed fee in treatment in international hospitals is at the level of 150 to 200 United States dollars per day. Without insurance, this expense finishes your budget instantly. Annual insurance premium. A comprehensive international health insurance, expat plan, depending on your age and coverage scope, can vary between 1,500 and 5,000 United States dollars per year. This, although a big item for a cheap life, is a life-saving necessity beside a possible hospital bill. 1. Total cost in big cities. Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi. Single person low segment. Local living. Your monthly total expenses vary between 750 United States dollars and 1,000 United States dollars. Medium segment. Expat comfort. Your monthly total expenses vary between 1,450 United States dollars and 2,100 United States dollars. Luxury segment. Center, serviced. Your monthly total expenses vary between 2,800 United States dollars and 4,200 United States dollars. Two people low segment. Shared. Your monthly total expenses vary between 1,250 United States dollars and 1,700 United States dollars. Medium segment. Comfortable. Your monthly total expenses vary between 2,450 United States dollars and 3,600 United States dollars. Luxury segment. Center, spacious. Your monthly total expenses vary between 4,600 United States dollars and 7,100 United States dollars. Family, 3 to 4 people, medium segment. Family standard. Your monthly total expenses vary between 4,700 United States dollars and 6,300 United States dollars. Luxury segment. International school. Your monthly total expenses vary between 8,900 United States dollars and 12,400 United States dollars. 2. Total cost in coastal cities. Da Nang, Nha Trang. Single person low segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between 680 United States dollars and 920 United States dollars. Medium segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between 1,330 United States dollars and 1,950 United States dollars. Luxury segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between 2,550 United States dollars and 3,800 United States dollars. 2 people low segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between $1,180 United States dollars and $1,600 United States dollars. Medium segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between $2,250 United States dollars and $3,300 United States dollars. Luxury segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between $4,200 United States dollars and $6,500 United States dollars. Family, 3 to 4 people, medium segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between $4,450 United States dollars and $5,900 United States dollars. Luxury segment. Your monthly total expenses vary between $8,300 United States dollars and $11,800 United States dollars. Difference summary. Coastal cities, in low and medium segments, offer a more affordable budget, between $70 to $250 United States dollars monthly, compared to big cities. However, in luxury living and international school requirements, the cost difference largely disappears. Turkey and Vietnam, food basket comparison. The exchange rate is accepted as approximately $1 American equals 26,314 Vietnam dong. This new rate means the dollar maintains high purchasing power against the Vietnam dong and makes the advantage in local products listed below even more distinct for Turks. This comparison is the litmus paper showing whether you can live like a local Vietnamese or not. 1. Those experiencing loss on the front. Expensive, hard to find in Turkey. Basic foods that are cheap or standard in Turkey, but luxury and expensive in Vietnam are: product item. Olive oil, import quality, average price difference. Compared to Turkey, 3 to 5 times more expensive. For the price of 1 liter of medium quality olive oil in Turkey, you can only buy half a liter. 0.5 L of Italian oil in Vietnam, product item. Dairy products, cheese, yogurt, average price difference. Compared to Turkey, 2 to 4 times more expensive. It is hard to find Turkish yogurt or full-fat, salty white cheese. Let's say you pushed it, searched and scanned and found yogurt. 1 kilogram of Turkish-style yogurt will be around 350 to 400 Turkish liras, approximately $7 to $9. Western-style cheeses and butter are priced luxuriously because they do not suit the Vietnamese palate. Product item, olives and pickles, average price difference. Compared to Turkey, 3 times and more expensive. Olive and pickle varieties filling market shelves in Turkey count as special gourmet products here. Product item, imported quality alcoholic beverages. Average price difference. Compared to Turkey, 50% to 150% more expensive. A standard whiskey or quality wine, despite high taxes in Turkey, can cost even more in Vietnam. 2. Those that are again on the front. Cheaper, plentiful than Turkey. Basic items that make living in Vietnam cheap, and are either non-existent or expensive in Turkey. Product item. Rice and local pasta. Price status. 50% cheaper. Explanation. Rice is the basis of local food, and its price is very low compared to Turkey. Noodle and similar local pastas are also very cheap. Product item, tropical fruits. Price status, 50% to 70% cheaper. Explanation, fruits considered luxury in Turkey like mango, dragon fruit, pineapple, jackfruit, are found at market prices and fresh in Vietnam. Product item. Seafood, fish variety. Price status, much more variety and cheap. Explanation, seafood variety that is rare or expensive in Turkey, shrimp, squid, tuna, etc., is sold fresh and at very reasonable prices on Vietnam coasts. Product item, local coffee. Price status, incredibly cheap. Explanation, Vietnam is one of the world's largest coffee producers. Local coffee beans, Robusta, are far below average coffee prices in Turkey. Expensive coffee exists too, you know. Don't run away seeing the price. Product item, chicken and eggs. Price status, 20% to 40% cheaper. Explanation, local chicken and egg prices are lower compared to Turkey. 3. Conclusion, Turkish consumer balance, rule. If you compromise on products like olive oil, white cheese, quality yogurt, and imported alcohol in your diet, you live very cheaply in Vietnam. Risk. However, if you try to maintain these Turkish food basket habits, your market bill can exceed the rent cost, and Vietnam's cheapness advantage drops to zero. Final words. Is Vietnam cheap or expensive? Believe me, this can be a very relative question. It is linked to your cheap or expensive choices. But the food issue is still the most critical and least spoken reality. Remember, Vietnam is not just a place consisting of risks. This place offers a magnificent culinary paradise, offering the freshest fruits and vegetables of the world, where seafood is incredibly delicious, and possessing a lot of magnificent dishes that rest your soul like pho. If I need to give an example from myself, We struggled for the first 1 to 2 weeks when we came to Vietnam, but then after synthesizing Vietnam's magnificent flavors with Turkish palate, every mealtime officially became a feast, a banquet table for us. Also, we discovered many spotless local Vietnamese places. We don't have any problems when we eat out either. Also, did you crave Turkish cuisine and flavors very much? We have friends who have Turkish restaurants and venues that are very decent, and almost as good as the taste in Turkey. All the information we shared here was for you to experience this paradise in a healthy and safe way. This is a place where the Turk, the Muslim, the European, and the Latin live different stories on the same plate. If you like these contents that tell the truth without hiding it, you can write in the comments which topic you want me to examine. That's it from US for now. Now the floor is yours. Yes, these are the real accounts. We tore up the pink pictures. According to your budget, how much money brings how much comfort, you saw clearly. What about you? Is this cost list more expensive than you expected, or cheaper? Now, let's meet in the comments section. This is the area where you can ask all the questions in your mind and share your experiences. What are you extra curious about? Can you live by eating local street food, 2 meals a day? Or can you not endure even a month without that cheese breakfast? Do you see the $5,000 health insurance per year as a mandatory expense or luxury? Anyone with experience about visa and residence permits, costs and processes, is it as easy as we think? Those taking the risk of riding a motorbike. Did you have a traffic accident or fine experience? How much did it cost? Which segment cost do you accept, and what is your red line in Vietnam? For example, air conditioning, clean water, Western-style toilet, etc. Let's discuss your ideas and help each other. We are ready for a rain of questions. Remember, the tourist is a guest, the resident is a warrior. Which side will you be on? Come on, let's determine more strategies in the comments. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and subscribe to join me on this journey. Let's enrich the conversation with your comments. Your feedback is truly valuable to me.